Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome. My name is Lacey and this is my art channel. So today I wanted to talk to all of you about teaching art on Outschool. I actually have another video talking about this, so if you haven't seen part 1 already, go ahead and watch it. I'll link it in the iCards above. Even though a lot's changed since then, I do think that video is still useful, especially if you're interested in doing one-time classes. This class is going to focus a bit more on ongoing classes, but we're going to get into all of that in a minute. I did want to say I got a lot of support on part 1. I realized there was a lot of interest in the topic, so I decided to come back and do a part 2. I think that I've learned so much since part 1, and I've also changed the way I teach on Outschool, so I wanted to talk to all of you about that. Before I get into it, I did just want to say that in my last video I did like a face-to-face with the camera. I actually recorded this whole thing facing the camera, but I was so sunburned, I was tired, and the audio was a little bit off. I don't know what happened, but the audio didn't seem to match the video 100%, so I decided to draw something. That's what I do best, in my opinion, and yeah, I'm just going to chit-chat with all of you. Actually, when I was trying to decide what to draw, I went to the parent side of Outschool, and if you do, you'll see this. I saw this little picture. I thought it was perfect because my hair is in a somewhat similar style. This is actually the avatar I made for myself, and so it's somewhat similar. And what's funny is I actually created a class on how to make a paper parrot puppet almost identical to that one. I didn't actually get to teach that class because no one signed up, which is kind of proof that not everything you try is going to work out, but doesn't mean that you can't succeed on Outschool. But I did find it super funny, and also I do have a small dog too who always sleeps under my desk while I'm teaching, so this picture was really perfect for me. I also saw this banner, and that's going to come into play for my background as well, so that's what I decided to draw. And let's get into the topic. Here on YouTube, I mainly focus on art, drawing, art tutorials, things like that. That's not going to change, but I think that teaching art is such a big part of my everyday life, and teaching is a huge part of who I am now. I do have some art tutorials on YouTube, like I said, so I didn't think it was that much of a stretch to talk about teaching art. I don't plan on it being my regular content, but like I said, if it helps you, then I'm fine with it. So I don't mind helping all of you if you're interested in getting started on Outschool. Feel free to reach out to me in the comments, and I'll put my email down there as well. I'll also put my teacher reference code. If you want, you can use me as a reference, and that helps me out as well, so we can help each other out. Okay, so what's happened since my last video? Really, a lot. First of all, I no longer work for QKids. That's a long story, and if you are or were an online English teacher, you have probably heard about the law changes in teaching students in China. I'm not really going to get into it, but I did jump ship, especially because I was already working very little for them, because I was already working on Outschool, so by the time the law changed, I was out of there. I also just want to mention that I won't be talking much about what Outschool is or what the type of classes are, just because I already talked about that in the last video. So if you have questions, you can always reach out, of course, but go ahead and check that video out if you want to hear about all the technicalities, and then if you still have questions, come back and ask me. So in the last class, I showed how I did my one-time classes. I would start out with a sketch like this, and then I would send it to my friend who would turn them into digital printable sheets for me. I would bring the opacity down, and then I would trace it during class, and I would give all the students a coloring sheet of all the drawings that we saw during the class. I still think that this is a great way to get started with one-time classes, and I actually only got started with ongoing classes, like just to see what the hype was, I guess. But I'm really glad I did, because there's pros and cons about both, but I seem to prefer ongoing classes more, and I'm going to tell you why. Now, I do want to say that all teachers are different, and their processes are different, and how they teach is different, what they teach is different. But I am going to talk about some of my pros and cons of one-time classes and ongoing classes. Now, there are other types of classes, like I mentioned before. I'm not really going to get into it, but I haven't personally done any other types. Now, if you're already an Outschool teacher, I would love to hear what your favorite type is, because I do want to try the other types eventually. I just haven't yet. So yeah, I'm going to start with the one-time classes. I think a con is the way I had my class set up is I drew the same pictures every week. And I think it could be taxing to draw the same image over and over again. If you plan on teaching that class every day of the week, you may end up drawing the same image every day of the week. I didn't personally like that. And I also think drawing on the spot can be hard. You could be an established artist and just never have to draw on the spot or draw in front of other people. And I think that having the digital download where you can trace it and it really takes some of the stress off. So I would say that was like a pro. But yeah, it takes some of the stress off of having to draw the same thing every day. But I will say another con was that it was a good amount of prep involved in the one-time classes compared to the ongoing classes, at least for me. And I did a whole lot of printing, like so much printing. I do have a couple more pros, but they're actually the cons of the ongoing. So I'm going to go into the ongoing first. I started them and it was going a lot better for me because we would draw different things every week. For example, I have an ongoing cartoon animal class. I also had a one-time cartoon animal class. So it's really easy for me to compare those two. And the ongoing one, we meet one time a week and the students take turns choosing what we're going to draw. I have several sections of this class a week, but it's uncommon that you're going to have to draw the same animal in every class. And even if you do, you could choose to draw it in a different way so that you don't have to draw the same exact drawing every time. The more that I drew, the more that I could see the improvement in my own art, and the more I challenged myself to draw things at different angles. So I do think that that just comes with time. But I don't hate one-time classes. I don't want it to seem like that. I actually plan on teaching them again in the future, and I think that they're great. This is going into the con of the ongoing, but the pro of the one time was that I think they're great for holidays. Holidays are very short, so it would be hard to have an ongoing class about a specific holiday. So I think that's one thing that they're really good for. I really love holidays. I really love teaching about holidays. I think that they're great. I like to do like holiday content, like for example, a gingerbread house in the winter, you know? So that's one thing. And then the other thing is I think doing the one-time classes could help you get new students in that they could just take your class one time and just get to know you and see if they like your teaching style. And if they do, maybe they'll decide to go to your ongoing class. So I do think that they're beneficial. But like I said, when I first started, I think I was just nervous about drawing on the spot. And so I'm really glad that I started the way that I did. And now I'm confident enough in my art that I don't get nervous before each class. I'm drawn things that I never thought I could, and I seriously believe I wouldn't have grown this much in my art journey if it wasn't for this teaching opportunity. It's a learning experience for me just as much as for my students. Maybe not just as much, but it's definitely a learning experience for me as well. And I think that's really great because we're learning together. You know, I think it's like when teachers say, "Oh, I didn't teach them, they taught me," because it's definitely a good experience for both the students and for me, like a mutually beneficial career, and I really would recommend it to anyone. But I do think that everyone's experience is different. We all have different students. We all have different parents of the students, different ways of teaching, and that's okay. You just have to find out what works for you. So some other things that have changed since last year. At first, I was teaching by drawing on separate pieces of paper, and that was getting really difficult fast. I had all of these accordion folders containing pictures I had drawn. I tried to draw them and cut them out and put them in my sketchbook, but it was really difficult to keep up. I had so many pieces of paper. So I ended up drawing in a sketchbook. I was nervous at first, but I adapted to it super fast. And if you all would like to see a video on items that I cannot live without as an online art teacher, you should let me know because I feel like that would be super fun and maybe helpful for all of you. There's a lot of things that I use every day that are definitely essential. Anyway, I started the sketchbook in, I think, February of this year, and it only took about 3 months for me to fill it up. So I filled it up in May. And now I've been trying to get all of these pictures colored so I can do a flip through on this channel. So it's like a little sneak peek. So yeah, I did that. And then I just started this one in May, like I said, and it's going really well. So anyway, what classes am I teaching now? I'm teaching all ongoing right now. Here's the list. Playing Animal Crossing. I do a video game class. I wouldn't mind talking about that either if you guys want to know about that. Animal Crossing drawing cartoon animals animal doodles, drawing Pokemon for beginners. And I just put out a new class for drawing kawaii foods. It's on the app Procreate using the iPad. I actually have not had any signups for this one yet. I do have some interest, but not any signups. So I haven't taught it yet, but I'm super excited to do that when I do have students, and I think it'll be super fun. And I do plan on making some other Procreate classes as well. I also have quite a few other classes that I want to create. I just have to have time to do it. I feel like I haven't had that much time lately. And I do plan on doing some one-time classes in the future too, especially for holidays, like I said. And I think it's just so much fun doing holiday classes. I actually have quite a few from the past that I saved, so I plan on bringing those back when those holidays come and making some more for the future holidays. Oh, something else that I want to mention about my online art teacher journey is that I've actually just started teaching on Skillshare. It's a different platform. I just started and I mentioned it briefly in the last video. So if you want to hear all about that, you're welcome to reach out to me as well. I wouldn't even mind creating a video on my experience starting to work for them, even though I just started. And I'll post a link tree in the description. If you click it, you'll see all of my links, including the ones for Outschool and Skillshare. I'd love to see you or your children in one of my classes. Okay, so now that I put that in there, I'd say that one of my last pieces of advice, if you're interested in teaching on Outschool, is just to find something that you're good at and that you're passionate about. There's always going to be people better than you, but there's always going to be people worse than you. It's the same with being an artist, so just believe in yourself and create a fun, inviting class for your students. If you're waiting until you're the best in your field, it's just never going to happen. So just jump in, be excited, and I think your students are going to see that and they're going to like you and they're going to like your class. And if you don't like it or if they don't like it, you can always change it. It's not set in stone and you can always learn and grow from your mistakes. When I started Outschool, I started doing $5 classes until I could build my reputation on the platform. I wasn't making much money, but I was building something and I could see that and I could feel that. And I felt like, okay, I'm not making any money from just sitting here and doing nothing. So I could do cheap classes and build my reputation. At least I'm making a few dollars. And really, it didn't take long until I started gaining some traction on the platform. I made up a number in my head of the amount of money that I wanted to make per month. And then I strived and I finally met that goal and actually exceeded that goal. It's not impossible. You have to put the work in, but it's not impossible. It's not a set in stone amount of money. I don't recommend just jumping off the deep end, like quitting your job, unless you have some other income, because you're not promised that amount every month. But I do think that eventually it could be a full-time job if that's what you want to do. But for me, I have this. I mean, of course, my husband has a job too. And I also have Skillshare, like I said, and I'm also doing other things to make passive income, or at least working toward those goals. And so I think that if you do want to work from home, you do want to be an online art teacher or an online teacher, that you can do it. It just takes time, effort, hard work, etc. But now I have so much fun with my students. I care about them and their happiness and their education just as much as I would if I was their in-person teacher. I think that it's important just to keep things professional, even though you work from home, and just do your absolute best. You got this. And I think I'm going to end the video at that. Like I said multiple times, reach out if you want to know more. I don't mind helping. This isn't fake. I'm a real person and this is my real life. And also, if you want to see some free drawing tutorials, check out my other videos on this platform. I haven't done a lot of tutorials. I'm working up. I mostly just start with Pokemon. If you have any suggestions of tutorials you want to see, put them in the comments. I'd love to do them and or at least try to do some of them. If I have a lot, I probably won't be able to do them all, but I would love to start somewhere. And I also used to do crafting on my channel, so there's a few crafting videos as well. Lately, I've just been posting drawing tutorials. I'm really focused on doing art on this platform, and I'd love to have you as a subscriber and a part of this art journey. I look forward to seeing all of you in the next video. Thank you for making it this far. If you did, put some kind of art-related emoji, maybe an art palette. Yes. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!